Trinity, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be recommending to you, I'll be recommending to you 6 different books that according to my views, are 100% clean, or really, for the most part, clean. I have all sorts of genres in those 6 books. There's fantasy, romantasy, a romance book because I wanted to try it. There's even one that's kind of like a fantasy sci-fi crossover thing. So anyway, yeah, if you like any genres, we have a good selection. So yeah, we'll just get into that. So if you've watched my channel before, or a lot of my shorter videos, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of this next book. Which is The Hunger Games. I kind of am like obsessed with it, and if you stick around and watch my channel a lot, you will soon find out. It does have some swearing in it, but it's mild and it's very infrequent. There is a guy in the book who has an alcohol addiction, but it's not like repeatedly discussed. And I think and if you don't know what the plot is, there's a lot of death in this book because it's basically this government where there's the capital and they control all these districts, and there's 12 districts, and each year they force 2 kids from each district, a boy and a girl, to go into this games called the Hunger Games, where all these kids fight in an arena to the death until there's one victor. So yes, there is a lot of death because essentially it's 24 children fighting in an arena and only one wins. So like, obviously keep that into consideration, but it's not like insanely descriptive or insanely gory. I mean, there's not really a good way to like, it's obviously violence, you know what I'm saying, but it's not like insanely gory, at least not for like, it wasn't for me. If you're super sensitive to that, I'd be like aware of that, but for the most part I would say it's pretty mild. So I really like this book. It is a series. Next is Catching Fire, Mockingjay, and then later she did like a prequel called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which kind of is like the backstory of president of the Capitol, so like how the villain became the villain, kind of. And then she just recently came out with another book, which is also, I think it could be considered a prequel, about the backstory of the character I mentioned earlier who has an alcohol addiction. And I think she kind of keeps it really, like, for the most part, pretty clean in all her books. There's no spice in any of them. In the last book, she does add a gay couple. It is briefly mentioned. It's about, I'd say mentioned 2 or 3 times briefly, but if you wanted to know. But other than all these factors into consideration, it is really good book, and I will probably always read it. I'm probably going to be like that one like old lady in the nursing home who is still reading this, you know, what's this, 12 plus or something? I'll assume it's 12 plus. This 12 plus book when I'm in my 90s or something. Next up is one that a lot of people like, and it's not as good to me as The Hunger Games, personally, just like storyline and stuff. I don't know what it was about it. There was nothing wrong about it, just like my own personal opinions. However, it is still a very good book, and probably even more clean than The Hunger Games. But even like with my description of The Hunger Games is super clean, and that is Percy Jackson. A lot of people love this book. It's basically this kid who finds out, essentially he finds out that he's the son of Poseidon, and he's like, how on earth? Because he can see all these weird, like, creatures, these mythical creatures, and people are like thinking he's crazy, but his mom is like, actually, you know, like, you're not crazy. You are a half-blood, where like his mom is a human but his dad is a god. So anyway, he's like, whoa, like, why didn't I know this before? He ends up having to go to this camp called Camp Half-Blood for the kids of, you know, one parent's a human, the other parent's a god, because half-bloods are more susceptible to being attacked by, like, mythical creatures and stuff. They're in more of a risky position. So he ends up going to this camp, and then the series is basically his adventures at this camp and just in his life and stuff. It was a really good book. I'm pretty sure there was like no swearing whatsoever, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I read it, but if I remember correctly, there was no swearing whatsoever, I don't think. Anyway, but it was a really good book. I don't think there's actually anything, there's no, like, absolutely no spice. There's nothing wrong to consider about this book, personally. The third book I have for you is also really good and is personally one of my favorites. It didn't make my book of the year last year, but it almost did. I think I gave this 5 stars, and that was Heartless by Marissa Meyer. And it is kind of sad towards the end, because this story is how the Queen of Hearts from, like, Alice in Wonderland became the Queen of Hearts. And, like, usually in books, not always, but usually in books that talk about how the villain became the villain, has some sort of, like, sad backstory or something, that, like, villains don't usually just wake up and are like, I'm gonna be evil. Like, so it's how she became the Queen of Hearts. I really liked this book a lot. But yeah, it is a little sad, so, like, keep that in mind. There is a little bit of gore, like, in fight scenes, but it's nothing too super gruesome or violent. I don't remember there being any swearing. Again, if there was, it was obviously mild. There is a lot of magic. Alice in Wonderland is a world of magic, but it's not like witchcraft or, like, spells or any of that. It's like the Mad Hatter. But anyway, that was a really good book, and I would totally recommend you read it. The fourth book I have for you is a romantasy book. I feel like the ones before this have been, like, fantasy, and, like, the last one I just showed you was, like, fantasy, but also, like, a retelling. This one is a romantasy. It was my first time ever reading one like that, and maybe I'm just not a fan of the genre, but also, like, I don't know, maybe I'm also not a fan of, like, fae, but this one is Welcome to Fae Cafe. It was completely clean. It was completely fine. I just, like, I mean, if you like fae, if you like coffee shop, like, books where the characters are in coffee shops and stuff, if you like fae assassins, if you like romantasies, then this is, like, the perfect book for you. But I don't know what it was about it that wasn't for me. But I'm still gonna add it on here and recommend it, because not only is it clean, but, like, there are definitely people out here who, like, would love this book. So this book is basically, like, this girl, she's in this coffee shop, and this dude is being rude to this lady or whatever, and she's, like, gonna go stand up for the lady, and she somehow accidentally kills the guy, okay? And it turns out the guy wasn't, like, an ordinary guy. He was, like, a fae or something, and she didn't know it. But then I think it was, like, the queen of the fae or something, sends out these guys to go and, like, it was either anyway, sorry, I had to remind myself. These 4 fae assassins end up coming and hunting her down to make her pay for what she did, for killing him. long story short, it's a romantasy. She ends up falling in love with one of them. I loved the Fae Assassin characters because they were just kind of funny. There's like the one main one, but then his 3 friends, and they're all like, oh, they just had such fun personalities and stuff. They were all so different. There was like the grumpy one, the funny one. Like, I don't know. I really liked that aspect of it. But yeah, it was clean. It was just an overall good book. Again, not 100% my thing, but it might, if you're looking for like a high stakes book, this might not be it. But if you're looking for like a cozy fantasy book where the girl's always wearing sweaters and drinking coffee, and she works at a coffee shop, and she's like always reading books, and there's like fae in it, and like, I don't know, it's just a cozy read, this is definitely more like for you, and you might actually enjoy it. The 5th book I have for you is one that I thought was like really, really good. I was really anticipating it. I really loved the characters themselves. I really loved a lot of like the quotes I got from the book, but like there were some insane plot twists that like I loved, and so I wanted to like, if I was just rating it based on that, I would have given it 5 stars, but it was a little bit slow for me. The book is Tress of the Emerald Sea. It is kind of like a weird fantasy sci-fi like vibe book, which I've never really done before. It's just the plot was really slow for me, and I think that's what made me like rate it lower than what I would have liked. But the main girl, Tress, she lives on like this island surrounded by like these deadly spores, okay? And basically life there kind of sucks. Everything's kind of the same, but she is like so sweet. Like, I love the character. She like collects cups, and she's like wants to adventure, but also is just like good staying at home, like drinking her tea and stuff. And, like, that's just her vibe or whatever. And so she was like an amazing character. All the characters were very interesting. They all like were kind of like unique and funny and special in their own way. The main guy character was really fun. I really liked him, and it was a friends to lovers, which may be why I kind of like it, because that's my favorite trope there. But it had like, again, a lot of good quotes and stuff. It had a lot of like in-depth, like makes you really pause and think about it. It was really like interesting in that aspect. I just think that for most of the book she's on a boat, okay? Because like her friend needed to go visit somewhere. Him and his family were doing something. I don't remember, but he ended up having to leave the island on a boat, and he didn't come back. And so she had to go out to sea, like looking for him and finding him, which is a good plot necessarily, except for the fact that she was on the boat for like ever, and not really much happened on the boat. So like, I think that's what kind of made me not really like it. But the beginning section was my absolute favorite. The ending section was my absolute favorite. It was just the stuff in the middle. And so I think I rated this like 3.75 or 4. I would totally read this again. I just think it would have to be a read that I'd be comfortable. Like, this is not the only book I'm reading. Like, I'm reading other books around the same time, because at the time I was like forcing myself like through this, and I feel like if I took time to like slowly read through it, I might enjoy it more. But I really liked this one. I think it was clean for the most part. Again, any swearing are really mild. There were like it is sci-fi. There was like a zombie or something on the boat, which like was fine. Like, if you like sci-fi, like that's normal for you. But like, I'd never read it before, so when he showed up, I was like, why are you here? Why are you on a boat? But anyway, other than that, I really liked this book. And if you like friends to lovers, if you like an insane plot twist, a lot of like deep philosophical questions and really like meaningful life lessons, then, but also like fun, like exciting at some parts, then I think you would really like this book. Okay, so I have never read a romance book before, and I cannot say I ever had a desire to. Not that there's anything wrong with them, I just was like, I'll stick to my fantasy genre, thank you. But then I kind of, but then I was like, made a goal for this year to explore new genres, and I ended up trying it just because I got curious. I ended up reading a Christian cowboy romance book. Okay, this book has several covers, as like a lot of books do. The cover like looks weird. I'll just, yeah, that's enough of that. But anyway, it was a really good book. I really liked it. I don't really know why I'm not like ashamed, but like it feels so weird admitting that, but it was just, I don't know, it's just, I think the cover is what bothers me, quite honestly, because okay, anyway, but the book was really good. I really enjoyed it. I guess, I don't know, I really like fantasy. I don't know if it's because I don't like straying from what's normal for me, but like some of the books that I've tried new genres, again, like the fantasy, sci-fi, romantasy, romance, like they just weren't like amazing to me. They were all good. They were all like, sure, pleasant, but like none of them were like super amazing to me. But again, mentioning all of these because there are totally people who would be obsessed with these. But this one is really good. It's basically this girl and this guy are best friends like all through like I think middle school and high school or something, and like right before high school, right before they go to college, they like finally confess their feelings for each other. They like finally become something, and then she goes to college and something happens and he ends up like randomly like ghosting her for like 6 years straight. And so they went from being like best friends for all those years and even like a couple for like a week to like she has no clue what happened to him. She knows he's okay, but she doesn't know where he is or what happened to him, why he just ghosted her. And so she ends up heading back to her hometown to visit her parents and stuff. And every time she goes, there's always like this thing in the back of her head, like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Or whatever, like what happened to him? So this trip, she's determined to find him. She's determined to figure out what happened. She's determined to resolve things with him, even if they're not like getting together or something, just to be friends again or whatever. On her way home, she gets in a car accident, and this guy that's her best friend or whatever is one of the, I think he's a firefighter, and he's in that area, and he ends up coming to the crash site not knowing she's coming back into town, and he does not know she was the one in the vehicle, and he just finds out right there while she's like, you know, not, she's going through it, okay? But perfect time to like reunite or whatever. But long story short, she loses a lot of memory and she gets better, but he has to not only make amendments with her now, like now that he sees her, but he has to like fill in the gaps in her memory. And it sucks because like she doesn't, like, she remembers him, but she also doesn't, you know what I'm saying? So she, you know, she now has lost her memories and she's struggling to figure out who she can trust. Like a lot of deep in-depth stuff. She ends up remembering him and figuring out, and then she was just like, oh yeah, I was supposed to ask you that question, like, why did you ghost me for all those years? And it ends up having to do with something about like her rich father does, not like it ends up, but like a factor is that her rich father doesn't want them together. He's like, you're just a rancher or whatever, so you're not like good enough for my daughter or whatever. For the sake of her and for his family ranch, he ends up ghosting her. So, and there's like, there's way more details to it, but I'm just trying to give you the gist of it. But now he has to figure out not only how to make amendments with her, but how to, he's like falling in love with her again, but how to like not cause problems, you know what I'm saying? Like to not lose his ranch. He's trying to get her to remember him slowly but surely, but also like not interfere with the healing process. There's like a lot going on. They're all just going through it. But it was a good read. It was interesting. It was like, for a romance novel, for my first one, I was like, it was great. There was nothing wrong with it. If you really like romance and Christian romance or Christian cowboy romance, which is quite a genre, totally recommend it. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you guys have any video ideas for me, please let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys, and Jesus loves you so much. Bye!